I learned by executing, finding results, finding what fails, saying, oh man, that did not hit, that didn't work. In the cop world, you have training in the police academy and they're like, if you don't do this, you will likely die.
What drove you then to make the life that you have for yourself now?
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Video Blueprint, REVB Podcast. I am very excited to welcome my friend, Enrique Tre Serrano.
What's up?
The
Thanks
third.
for having me. The third.
This is great. I mean, it's fun because we talk smack to each other all day, every day. And now we're doing a podcast.
You guys are the worst.
We're actually just here to make fun of you for like an hour or two. So I hope everyone's ready for
I got time.
it. The first thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that you got LASIK and now we have to see your entire face, not your face covered by glasses.
Yeah.
But how has that impacted your video content creation journey?
It's great because now I can just send you more videos so you can continue to watch my face. Video journey is great.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, I feel like we should get into it. And just disclaimer for the audience, most of the time we have a guest on and I'm like, audience, you are going to learn so much great stuff. We're going to deliver so much value over the next 40 minutes.
And then we have Tre.
I'm not saying we're not going to, but I just want to put the disclaimer out. I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, but hopefully we have some
All
fun
value.
All value. Yeah. But no, Katie and I were talking. Like, we've had a lot of people come on and talk about how to do YouTube and how to do this stuff. And you're doing everything. And we probably could spend the next 40 minutes talking about, thumbnails and all the stuff you're doing. But I want to dig in a little bit more. When I met you, you were a full-time police officer and you had figured out how to sell real estate, on the side
At the time.
and you had something going, and then you really went all in a video. You really, went all in on just building this business, and life looks a lot different for you now than it did, I would say, 8 years ago?
Do you have a question, Tim?
When did you get your license? This is me setting the table. We've talked about this. I'm setting the table.
8 years ago. Yes, I got my license 8 years ago.
So your life's changed dramatically in the last 8 years.
Yep.
And I want to dig into what drove you then to make the life that you have for yourself now.
Execution. That's the one word that anybody watching this, listening to this, is execution. From execution, that's where you can drive more results. So I didn't realize that at the time, but I go to a lot of trainings and I'm always trying to continue to improve. A lot of people can read, just like how-tos and do this, do that, like all the how-to stuff that people talk about and all the content. I don't learn that way. I learn by executing, finding results, finding what fails, saying, oh man, that did not hit, that didn't work, and then continue to grow that way by execution.
But where's that motivation come from? Because every single conference we go to, we talk about execution and just do it and whatever. And 90% of the audience, many times including myself, don't. And so, like, what do you think is in you that makes you execute? Where do you think that comes from?
So I was not born in this country. I was born in South America. My parents, literally the whole off the boat story, migrated to New York and grew up, Section 8, not a lot of money. So, I mean, the journey for me has been survival. It really has. I have a mother who has a mental illness, pretty severe. So I didn't know. I mean, the only thing that I did know was what drove me is just values for people. The people that did reach out to me and help me along my life, it really came from service, and they expected nothing in return. So I do the same.
Well, if we're going that route, the people that helped you and all that fun stuff, like, how has community, because you've executed by yourself. And what I mean by that is you get an idea, you go do it. You get an idea, you go do it. And so real estate is a solo sport. And I think you get a little lonely sometimes because it is such a solo sport. You succeed kind of on your own and you fail on your own. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about community over the last 8 years building out this business.
What I learned is that once people have the sense of community, of encouragement, and all the values are there and they're helping you for the right reasons, then you'll never fail. So like in the cop world, you have training in the police academy and they're like, if you don't do this, you will likely die. So when you have that mindset into business in every aspect of your life, that is where you're going to really excel in what people tell you to do. So I took that police training and I do it in business, because if you don't do certain things in business, you will die. Not physically, hopefully not.
Yeah.
But in business, where you won't meet your goals and aspirations and
I feel like that was really good. It's a good episode, guys. Thank you, Trey, so much for hopping on.
Well, I mean, it's like I go to these seminars and I'm sitting there, and I've seen some stuff in the police world, and I hear like, you got this, you can do it, everybody cheering and taking notes, and I see them at the next conference and they don't do anything, or they don't execute on everything else. But it's not the hoorah that's going to move you, but it's going and finding what's going to drive you to execute that idea. And it's like, there's two options. There's failure in the idea, or there's death. And I'm always looking like, hey, if I don't do this, and I just use this aspect of, if it doesn't work, like I won't die. So that's how I execute these ideas.
So Katie, do you often think about death when you work on your execution? Because of the three of us, I'm the one that, is bad at the execution, is not good at the consistency. And you also put out a ton of content and do the work. So like, what do you, where's it come from for you?
I don't know that it's that deep. For me, I think it's just that like, I know that I have to do this in order to continue the business or continue the thing or move further along. And so, I mean, we talk about it a lot because we talk about content a lot, and it's just like, if we have the idea, it's like, well, who's going to be the first one to do it kind of thing. Right. And we've had, friendly competitions or bets of like how much content we're going to put out, or if we're going to do this specific video or whatever. So like, I don't know that I have something as deep as Trey that's like, okay, like A or B kind of thing.
I know. I think it's what I love sometimes.
Yeah. But that's like your experience, and that's like what's ingrained in you, right? And so for me, it's like, I don't know if it's death, but it's like the failure part, right? It's like you're either going to do it and like maybe not fail, but like, or your business is going to fail. And that's like kind of what you're referring to as business death, right?
Yeah.
And so, I completely agree with you, but in my like deep down inside, like that's not the like A or B. Tim, could we?
Yeah, I got you. I didn't hit do not disturb. The text are coming.
Do not disturb, mute the computer. Okay. So you do execute. And that's something that Tim and I always go ahead.
But no, one thing you both mentioned is that like you text each other back and forth and that you compete with each other. What do you think your journey looks like without having that? If you just try to do it on your own, like how is your journey different? Because you do have people that you text, you do have a community that you lean on.
Okay. So it's the speed of growth. So I do feel like I will definitely survive in this business. If I had no one and it was just me, like I would make it no problem. I would have food on the table and I would have, my family. But I think the trajectory of success is very, very affected by the people around you.
So how's that affected? I'm interviewing you both now. How is that how's that affected like both your journeys though? Like tangibly, like what does that look like? What is community and what does having other people around to help you with content look like?
Can you take this one first?
Yeah. No, I mean, it comes down to having the sounding board, right? Because like, as Trey said, like content's been a part of both of our journeys for a really long time. It was a part of your journey for a while as well. And it's something that like having a community where you can take inspiration from content, right? Like you did your scooter video, right? And then Steve and Kim did like a child scooter video, like, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do one where I'm going to run down the street, because I'm at a bar and it's close to the house. So I'm going to run down the street, and so like, it's having that like community where it's you can get ideas from, where you can, if I have an idea and I text Trey and he's like, don't do that, do this, or do this title instead, or do this thumbnail, or I was actually just working on a video like that. So I think that again, like at the end of the day, I don't think that I'm going to fail, because at some points you do fail or you do things that don't work, but I know that I'm going to figure it out and I'll figure out a way to put food on the table kind of thing. But like, having the friends and the community to help to lessen those failures or shorten the learning curve, I think is paramount.
Yeah. Shorten the learning curve. But also what doesn't work. Like if I see that a video that somebody else did and I'm like, that's not really on brand for me, and it kind of saves me time. Like if I would have done the video, like, that wouldn't have worked. That's not my people.
I do think sometimes ideas are good in our head. And then once we bounce those ideas off other people.
Oh my God. So perfect example. No, but I used to call Tim. I still kind of do sometimes. Yeah.
Guys, I just saw that. I thought this had caffeine in it. It says caffeine free.
Oh, we're good. Trey was just about to drop a great point.
I'm good. But sorry.
I was wondering why you were so droopy.
So I would call Tim literally 5 minutes before I started recording a listing video. And I'd be like, Tim, and I'm like, yeah, I have to shoot a listing video. What do I say?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, tell me about the house. And I'm telling him about the house. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I would run with his idea to make it more, myself and my brand. So there's no way if I was by myself and like trying to figure it out, I really just think community builds the trajectory, and the trajectory ends up in being highly successful.
You
and
still call me for ideas sometimes. Huh?
I sure do.
You know?
But now it's a little like not just a listening video. It's like, a little bit more major.
Yeah, we get to
a little higher
talk
level
about
stuff.
Bigger ideas for sure. So you have a JP.
I do have a JP.
Yeah, and it's great for you.
He's sitting right over there, super handsome.
What a guy.
I've seen a lot of our friends who, when they find that right person to work with them on the content side, like you just see everything get amplified. And I know that it's an interesting space to be like in the middle where you're like, I think I need somebody, but I'm not sure. When did you know, hey, I need to hire somebody full time? Like what was that thing that set it off?
So I spoke at the first REVB.
You did?
And it was just like, hey, we're gonna have you speak. We're gonna do like the people that kind of aren't doing okay, that aren't
Getting
doing great.
started.
Yeah, get started. Like you're gonna be the poster child for the getting started kind of crowd. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like whatever.
Give me like.
Yeah. So then I'm talking about it, and I at the time had 3 different videographers. 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, they weren't obviously full time, but they were just like, okay, I need a long form guy, I need a short form guy, and I need an editor. So then I had 3, and then like controlling 3 to have stay on brand, and everybody had just different ways of working. It was just a clusterfuck. And so I said, you know what? After that conference and speaking to other people, they're like, man, you got 3 videographers. That seems like a lot of work. I'm like, fuck, you're right. It is a lot of work. So I'm like,
I'm not putting out 80 pieces of content a week.
Yeah. Man, but had I not done it and spoke at the event and talked to other people, community, then I would have been like, you know what? I'm just going to hire somebody full time.
Yeah.
And everybody thought I was crazy. They're like, you're not even that big. And I'm still not big.
That's what she said.
That's my favorite episode, but I did it, and I just executed it. And then honestly, I think I just got really, really lucky because there was about 50 applicants. I had 2 interviews. JP was one of them. And I'm sorry, I just gotta be honest, JP, his real estate videos were not good. We're like, yes.
Or the other, okay.
No, the JP. The other guy's stuff was actually really good, but it was like very cinematic. And I'm like, I don't do the cinema stuff. But JP's real estate videos were terrible. Sorry, man. He's sitting right there. He's like, fuck you, Trey. But what I really found value and he had an eye for B-roll. So I actually looked at his YouTube channel and he had some family vacation footage. But the
just things, so you know, JP's over here like just like rubbing his hands on his face right now.
Awkward. So the B-roll he picked up the way he chose to edit and put things into a story was really what attracted me to JP and his looks. So it was that made me say, okay, here's the opportunity. You're hired.
Well, I think you bring up a good point because people who are good at shooting listing videos a lot of times aren't good at telling a story. And so seeing that potential on that side is way more important than being able to shoot a good listing video.
Well, and especially when you're hiring someone to do multiple things, right? Like you're saying, I'm hiring a full-time videographer to do short form, to do talking head, to do long form, to do property tours. Like it's hard to find someone that's versatile. And I think that like you guys have really grown together as far as the quantity and quality of content that you're putting out.
So one other thing that I think is super, super important. So like if you're listening to this and driving, like don't miss this part. When I hired JP, the other side of it is he hired me. And the reason I say that is because with content creation to generate business, it's a 2-sided coin. So like what he does for me, I have to do for him. So I have to give him direction. I have to make sure we're on brand. I have to make sure that the message is going to speak to buyers and sellers and to who we serve. So it's like he has to hire me because if I'm not doing my job in direction and what should be out, then he can't do his job. So a lot of people miss that because they're like, oh, I hired a videographer and they were terrible. Well, it's like, dude, you need to give them direction. They don't read minds. They don't. And Andy's over there shaking his head like, yeah, but it's like, there's 2 hires there. And if you take that into consideration and set the expectations at the beginning and, just be real with yourself, just say, I need to learn this like you're learning this. And then I think that's going to be better.
What experience did you have? So before, did you always have a videographer, or were you shooting yourself and editing, or what did that look like?
Oh, I did everything myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did it all yourself. Then you like hired random videographers to help you in certain aspects and editors to help you in certain aspects. And then you made the decision of like, okay, if we're going to go all in on this, I need one guy. And that was kind of the journey for you.
Yeah, that was it. Exactly.
Yeah. It's always interesting because like some people like immediately just go to a videographer. Some people, most people that we know did it themselves for a very long time. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Well, it's like the person that wants to start a team because they want to work less. And you're like,
That's
you're
a terrible idea.
You're going to work way more and you're going to have to do a lot more. And people are like, well, I just want to hire a videographer so I can work less. And it's like what Trey said. You're hiring a videographer because you want to put out a lot more content, and you are going to, you know, play your part in driving that. And so many times I've had agents that are like, yeah, I got a videographer that does real estate, and so they're going to do a listing video for me. And I'm like, that's going to be the most boring listing video ever, because that person is like, it's a real estate agent that wants a listing video, and so I'm going to make it look like real estate agents listing videos, where like you have to bring that vision for your brand and everything else that you want to create. And then a good videographer should be able to understand that brand that you want to communicate, get to know that brand, which, you know, I've seen you guys keep growing with. But the idea that you're just going to hire somebody that's going to magically take everything off your plate is always the wrong mindset when it comes to going into this stuff.
What's your secret to, other than JP, to being able to create so much content? Because like, you know, I think that's something that you're known for, right? Is like the execution. You know, we laugh as I think JP and Andy are both editing videos right now, but like, you know, whenever we're at these conferences, it's like, do you think Trey's going to post before me? Tim's like, I don't know. You better get on it.
Then they pick up their phone. It's like, oh, it's posted. Damn it, Trey.
No, but you execute. So like, what's like your content process? What does that look like? Like, you know, because I think that there is some tactic behind that of not just like, oh, I'm going to go get shit done.
Yeah, no, there is. So I'm going to kind of spitball all this, and then, you know, we can go into
that's what we do here. We spitball.
Okay, so basically, I get the idea, and then we have a Trello board.
No, that one's dead too.
So actually, there's two ways. One is we have a Trello board, and every time I have an idea pop in my head, I go up on my Trello board, I write it down, and then we have different phases. So if I have one of them was a long ass YouTube video, and then literally that's what her name was. And then we move it along the Trello board.
You when you said that.
Yeah. So we moved along the Trello. JP's laughing. Move along the Trello board. So it's locations, editing, you know, review, final review, and then post it, and then comments. Or what we do is, oh shit, I missed the second one. I forgot.
Well, yeah, he's talking with his hands so much that he's hitting the microphone. So it's
they got distracted.
You know?
So you do a Trello board, and it has different stages.
Yes. So Instagram. So on Instagram, we have a folder that JP and I share, and it's content ideas. So it's like one little badass takeaway that I got is if you scroll on Instagram and you save the content ideas under a folder, so then when you're at a listing video, and this is another nugget, is when you're recording your listing video, I hear agents say like, oh, I just did a listing video. I'm like, well, why don't you shoot a just sold, just listed, under contract, price drop, walkthrough tour, voiceover tour, funny, like trending tour. So it's like 7 videos in one trip with the videographer. People are like, oh shit, I never thought of that. Like, you don't have to post it the same time. Like you have it when you go under contract, you just post it. And then when you do this, so it's just maximizing your time with your videographer to have more ideas per shoot.
Especially if you don't have a full-time person, right? Because like, you know, obviously if, you know, JP's on the payroll, it's a little bit easier to be like, oh, let's go back out to the property.
I
but
do
like,
it to him all the time.
Yeah, no, obviously, right? He's like, here are the 14 ideas that you can do in one trip, but we do them in 14 trips. But like if you're hiring a videographer to shoot, and I always say this, like they should be doing horizontal and vertical, right? But like you could also do a just sold type thing or something else, right? You don't have to do 7 or 8. You can do
shout out to Jamie Terry in Houston for giving me that idea for under contract and just sold in the same listing video. So shout out to Jamie.
I just know that sometimes we look at stuff, you're like, I already posted that house. Like I already posted that. People don't want to see it again. I'm not gonna. And people have a lot of other people in their algorithms. So when you do 2 or 3 videos of the same house, like Erica Wolf had some listing. It's got this high ceilings and these windows. I love that house. She's made like 4 videos on the same house.
The wine one. Yeah.
And every time I comment on it and I'm like, I want to buy that house. Yeah. So I think agents should embrace making more than one video for each listing. And I think that's also a separator when you go into that listing appointment where you're like, yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of agents will do a listing video. We do 8 videos.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just,
And how much more of your time? It's like, okay, maybe another 30 minutes to an hour.
I mean, honestly, not even.
Yeah.
Right. Like the bulk of the video is the shooting.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing this just went under contract, congrats to the sellers, or we just sold, whatever. Like you're not adding new B-roll. Like it'd just be maybe a little bit less or a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing that, right? With like the viral hook ones and then the regular video and then a still, carousel as well, just because like all of them perform differently.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that there's definitely ways to maximize your content and not have to keep going back to the property. Sorry, JP.
And I feel like people or agents will say like, oh, well, I didn't get any comments. I didn't get like, I know I'm sure like you guys talked about this with other people, but to me, the result that matters is obviously happy client and did you get more business? That's it. And that's what I look at. If somebody else DMs me on Instagram, like, hey man, I'm thinking about buying a house, like all the shit that I've been doing the past month is worked. It worked. So yeah, that's the only result I care about.
Are you getting a lot of business from Instagram, or is most of it coming from past clients, referrals, and YouTube?
So priority of higher percentages is number 1, agent referrals, number 2, Google, number 3, YouTube, number 4, past clients and Sphere.
Okay.
I mean, Instagram is in there, past clients and Sphere.
Yeah.
Because
you're Sphere.
Sphere.
Yeah.
Fear.
Sphere.
SPHERE.
Fear.
I'm Hispanic. I don't say anything the right way. ¿Tú quieres que yo hable español?
Yeah.
Un poquito. I wanted to dig in a little bit more on like things that you're doing to drive more business from Instagram. And so like, I think we have kind of similar makeups of where our business comes from. And so what are some things, maybe rather than driving business, like what are the things that you're doing to drive more conversation and interaction on Instagram?
Stories, 1,000%. But honestly, in your stories, and I got this from Karina Veal in McAllen, she will post her Instagram story and just like talk for like 30 seconds to a minute in her car, just about whatever's going on. It's long, but it's like no filters, no editing. And when I do that, I get DMs or I get more of the reactions to drive up the post and I get conversations. And it's like, why don't other people do this? I
think it's because like, I don't watch those, but I know other people do.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's annoying to me when I'm like, it's a 5, frame video. I'm like, oh, God, Trey, but like, but other people do watch them. And so that's where like, I mean, I get so many more.
But you're not going to buy a house from me.
Maybe.
But you're a business.
We've talked about buying an investment before. Maybe I will. I don't know if anyone listening is a great agent in San Antonio or Canyon Lake. Let me know. I'd love to buy an investment. Not from Trey. Oh, this is awkward. Okay. No. So one of the things that I like that you do is like engaging people to like or hit the emoji button or whatever it may be. So it's like, hey, do you want the video tour of this property, or, smash if you think I'm going to get this listing, or like, different stuff like that.
Yeah. I'll say things like, I'm driving to the listing appointment. Give me a heart for some luck or something. And I'll get, and sometimes like, just to be different, I'll screenshot who gave me hearts and post that. I'm like, you people, you.
I think you make it, you make content that's easy to engage with.
Yeah.
And
I got that from you.
Oh, well, thank you. I think that's how do you make engagement easier is definitely a question that you've answered in a lot of your content, where, it's like you're making a listing video and, it's like the Tyler Hassman thing. He ends every video with, would you live here?
Yeah.
Let me know in the comments. Would you live here? Like just making your content really easy to engage with just drives everything.
I think it's because like Trey's also like accessible.
Yeah.
Pretty simple and accessible.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like I'm saying that. I'm not saying that.
You're the guy that opened REVB as like, the one that anybody could relate to. Anybody that, was never made a video in their life could be like, oh, I can do that.
To be derogatory. I think that, I mean, you're wearing boots and khakis and a, polo or button down, you're just an accessible, like
I'm a simple dude. Yeah.
Like, and then I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Like, I think it's a good thing because people are like, oh, like he's relatable. He's like me kind of thing. And so, when you say, give me a heart to give me good luck on this appointment, like people want you to do well, and so, that's awesome.
And I think we see that in this kind of influencer age where, I always go back to my wife and I watch how like she interacts with stuff. Like she does not buy things that the Kardashians are selling. She buys things from influencers that are accessible, that seem like her, that are relatable, that
Have lots of plants.
You know, she's got a lot of plants from Instagram influencers. And so like I think that is what you've done well is like you're very relatable, but it's also aspirational. So if you're doing things in your life that people aspire to, then they like following you and like connecting with you. And I think you've done a good job.
And I get that like at conferences or DMs or whatever, but they're like, Trey, like I saw your video. And then I thought to myself, like, I can do a video like that. But I think what they're really saying is like, if your dumbass can do it, I can do it. Dude, do it.
But here's the thing though, is like, yes, but no one's going to do as much as you do. You know what I mean? And I think that's like the differentiator, or work as hard as you do, right? They're like those two things. Because, you know, I don't think that all in all, other than Brad McCallum, I don't think that content creation is that hard, right? Like you can create content.
You're literally documenting everything you do. That's it.
But it's continuing to do it and doing it consistently and working
on
hard,
brand,
you know? And so that's where, you know, we've all seen like, you know, you can shoot your video in the car after a workout or post your selfies or do whatever. And like those get a lot of engagement, but so do the highly produced ones. Like it's a whole combination, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we really like your package, your content, like the content package that you've put together. It's diverse.
That's what she said.
And yeah, no, it's really working. And so we appreciate you doing it.
I appreciate you guys giving me the time. I'm just, you know, I don't know.
Let Trey speak.
Let Trey speak.
Yeah, let Trey speak.
You know, you will not be speaking at REVB this year.
No, but I'll do my own event next year.
Trey's like at the hotel next door to your hotel. I'm doing an event on April 24th and 25th.
The real estate video
footprint. No shoes. No Nikes allowed.
Oh man. Well, look. Well, we appreciate you being on, man. It's always fun, and we appreciate everything that you do for our little video community and all the ways you give back. And you know, thanks for being on.
Just happy to be here.